G'day and welcome. I've not been around because there's been quite a lot going on. So this video's reasonably long in terms of just talking, but there's a lot of news in it, if you know what I mean. So if anyone's been curious or wants to know what's coming up or what we're doing, it might pay to sort of stick around to hear it, I guess. But I figure I owe you a couple of explanations. Well, sort of things that have been going on. For the past week I've been sick. I didn't have COVID. I thought I had COVID, but it's just a cold, and it's cold out here now. So I should really go inside. But I've got to the point where I've got lots of little projects, lots of bits of video content, nothing fits together. It's a mess. And just because of my unusual way, I guess, of just jumping from one thing to the next, it's not really conducive to great flow. Not from a viewer's point of view, I wouldn't think. And now the dog's going nuts, so someone's probably just rocked up. But there's been an awful lot happening, aside from not being very well. I've had to write some notes too, so I'm just going to go off this. Rightio, EJ. So I did a stuff up, I'll show you a bit of that. There's a little bit of footage here. And what had happened was, the weather's winter now, it's just gone winter. And I I cut out the hole where the tunnel was. Somebody had hacked it up and put a floor shift transmission in there. And they'd hacked up the cross member, so I sectioned the cross member and that turned out great. Went to cut the thing out, it's getting dark, it was about to rain, and I've just guessed that and made it too small. Actually, I wasn't, and I welded it back in there. I thought, I can't do that. This is out of the tunnel cut that Graham gave me. And I thought, I can't do that. I'm going to have to make another one. But then as I welded up and thought, no, I'll cut it out again. And I'll cut it to the right size. And pretty much fits. It's just because I was looking at it above, it looked too small. If, trying to sort of look around it like that. But I thought, you know what, I'll make another one. But I might not have to. I still haven't welded it in because the moment you get some fine weather, it's only a couple of minutes before it's raining. And when you don't feel well, you're not going to stay out in the rain and try and weld, because welding in water is a bad idea. So there's been a lot of stuff like that. Now, the other thing is I bought that little white starlet. I shouldn't have got that. Charlie's done this to me a couple of times. I want this, I want that, and you go and get it, and they know I don't want it anymore, Kind of irritating. So that's going. I'm getting rid of that. I did a crash repair on the front. I've got to paint up some panels and stick it on, and I'll make it shiny and wash the interior. It's had a new airbag put in, and I'll flog it off. I don't want that here at all. I've got to, the rest of the cars don't bother me too much, but there'll be another one I have to cull too, I would think. But what I've been looking at is available room here, which is non-existent. But one of the things a guy told me, because I don't like dealing with council, because you go into the council and you're very polite, you're very nice, and they always put you in a bad mood by being rude or denying something on the grounds of virtually nothing. You don't want to change the world, you don't want to cut trees down, you just want to put this here, and they say no. It's like, One time actually, when I was a bit younger, the kids were little. It was before Rosie was born. I think Alana was 4 and Charlie was 1. Or no, she was 5, Charlie was 2, that's right. And I built a cubby house, and there was a stringy bark, and it dropped a branch like that with no warning. And stringy barks do that sort of thing. And it dropped right next to the cubby house where they play. And it was full of termites. And I asked the council, I said, I want to take it out. They said, no. And I said, are your kids playing underneath a tree like that? Well, they sent their arborist out, and the arborist works for the council. He goes, no, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. I said, okay, put it in writing. If my kids get injured, you're going to be liable. But it didn't amount to anything. I ended up leaving anyway. But anyway, so what I want, there were 2 ways we could do this. We could go 5 metres out the back, which would be better. But there's a lot of stuff in sheds to move, and I've already done all that. I don't actually want to do it again. I thought about putting a double carport at the front. The neighbour has a lot of trouble with those hedge trees I've got there. They're always growing and hitting his guttering, and we're always, twice a year I prune those things. James Sterling's, they're horrible things. So I might pull that out and stick a carport at the front. At least then I can keep some stuff under cover. So that meant I was told by a guy to go and see a surveyor, and the surveyor wasn't there. I went the next day, he still wasn't there. And then I just went to a shed joint. and said, how about this? And they said, yeah, we handle everything. So I ran the council about a planning permit, and they said it isn't necessary, you can just get a building permit through the guys that are doing it. And I thought, fine. So I've paid for the permit and just sent off the application for the permit, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. So, but the EJ, I haven't bought the RHS yet to make the trolley for it. Once I've done that, I can send it out to get blasted. I'm a little bit worried about the cost though. I got a guy lined up to do it, which is reasonable, but a carport's 10 grand, and I'm in the hole quite a lot, so I've got to try and save it up or sell something or do something to pay for that. Guitar videos, rubbish. It did very poorly. I don't know why. I guess it's the way these things are being published or whatever. These videos, car channel, and I'm sort of mooted as a car channel, but I never said it was a car channel. That's why I used my name on the channel rather than Ando Motors or Restos or whatever crap you can call yourself. Scott's got Cold War Motors. You know it's about motors. If Scott was to pull out a washing machine and start fixing it, people would be, what are you doing? But mine was about anything I feel like doing, mowers and fans and a washing machine, a guitar. I still haven't, I've done some footage on setting the guitar up, but I haven't bothered doing anything else because you've got to play it at the end to make sure it's all good. It's like restoring a car and it's sitting there, people want to see some action, want to see it on the road. You need to drive it for yourself to make sure it's good. You can't fix a guitar and then not play it. You've got to know what you're doing with it, and I don't. So eventually I'll do that, but I'm in no hurry for it. I'll do it when I want to do it, sort of thing. So Starlet's going, the EJ, I buggered it up. The best thing with the EJ is to get as much of the metalwork done as I can. So the tunnel, I've got it ready to weld it in and it'll all be finished there, but it keeps raining and it's freezing. There's a small couple of repairs in the boot I can do. There's the B-pillar repair on the B-pillar repair, that's all right, on the left hand side that I can do. There's the front, I've got to cut off it and I can probably repair the floor while it's here. The more I can get done before it's blasted, the better. Because then, once it's in Epotech, I don't have to grind it back or whatever. It's not nice stuff, you don't want to inhale it. But then once it's sealed, and I kind of like that. Do you know what I mean? It just looks really, really poor sitting there wet, a rusty shell. It's not the look I'm looking for, and that's why I'm going to have a carport, and I'll also have a gate at the front, just so you can't see any of that junk. And I don't like looking at it through the windows anyway. Pardon me, I always vowed I wouldn't have a junk and non-runner outside of the garage door, and here we are. Do you know what I mean? So I've broken that rule, but I still don't like it. So I'm getting to the point where it's like, nah, it's time we made the house look really good, because it is a nice place, and I'm not ready to move yet. I work 800 metres from where I live. I beg your pardon, I'm sorry. Right, other projects. I was in the mood the other day, you know what I was in the mood for, this bike behind me, 350 Special. I've got that lovely twin leading shoe brake for the front. I've made the headlights around, the police speeder fit into the headlights around, I haven't painted it. And I thought, colours, I've got that lovely cream frame you can see behind me. And I thought, that LJ Tirana green with the cream, it looked freaking nuts. Or the Starlet sort of turquoise. Honda did a lot of sort of candy golds and turquoises and stuff like that. I could actually try and do a candy, I've never done one. But on a small thing like that, it's easier to control the gun with the coat you do than it is on a car, if you know what I mean. So you've just got to keep your coats consistent when you're doing a candy. I've never done one, that's just what I'm told. So I could do a candy, I don't know, I'll just see. I mean, some of these old 70s colours almost look like a candy anyway, and they're not. But I saw, sitting in my eBay watch list was a full wiring loom, $50 American or something. And I thought, you know what, I'll order one now. And that's another thing that can sit there. So when I'm back in the mood to do it, I've got a whole lot of stuff there. I'm going to sort of bang it together, or bang most of it together. So the XA is the thing I want to talk about, and there's a lot to talk about with it. I saw it as a photograph of it sitting with its brake discs half buried, up to its sills, in dry dirt. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool to get something that derelict and make it showroom quality? That's ultimately what I want to do with it. The amount of work DJ did just to get it back to his house, to get it rolling, was phenomenal. I mean, he's out there in 40-degree heat, and I'm saying, don't need to do it, mate. It's too hot. It's too hot. He had to go and get a suspension arm for it. He had to put a spring in it. He had to put a rear axle in. He had to source that out of that squashed XC on its roof in the junk pile, and he got the thing rolling. Down the shed with Byron from Perth, got a set of trailer wheels in a Ford stud pattern, sent them on a pallet up to where DJ is. He put it on, he got it rolling, so he had his spare roller tyres left there, which is what he wanted to keep. Then he had to stick it on a truck, or stick it on his trailer, and he transported it 500 or 600 k's, like stupid amount of distance. And I paid him for it. I haven't paid him for that yet, but I paid him for all the stuff he needed, U-bolts and wheels, and huge amount of work. And then it went down to this place where the freight company I use always used to pass through, and they would take them, and they said, I spoke to them last year, and they said, yeah, we can do that, it's no worries, it's this much money. I think they quoted a crazy low price. It was $1,300 or something. I thought, yeah, we'll go there. Well, anyway, they've closed shop now, and so another guy is promised to do it for a little bit dearer because the price of fuel's gone up, and even he's underquoted it, but he said he'd still do it. Well, anyway, one of the cars fell out of bed that was going to come, so that means he has a space on his truck, but he has to have the truck full before it's worth doing, a nullable trip, if you know what I mean. It's like 2,500, 3,000 k's he's got to drive. And he's going to pick it up at a place where no one else will go, sort of thing. Well, anyway, that was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago, and he's been looking for another car to stick on the truck, so he's got a full complement of vehicles. That makes it financially worth his while. So he found one, and today is supposed to be the day when that all happens. Haven't heard back. I spoke to the guy whose front yard the car is sitting in. So yeah, we'll just suck it and see. The other thing is I had a call from Nathan, a good friend, who's helped me a lot with the XC, and he's got a bounty of stuff. XA appropriate, and there's all sorts of things, and it's expensive, a lot of stuff, but it's also extremely cheap. What he's offering, there's a 302 engine, which it's clean as a whistle inside because it's run on gas most of its life, so the heads are probably stuffed on it. He didn't say that. I would think the exhaust valves would be fairly well stuck in the heads though. I've got a set of good 302 heads here. It was apparently one of the slowest cars. It's an XC, it was out of an XC panel van, so it's got your retarded valve timing and all this sort of stuff, and your single thing gas mixer on it, so it was very sluggish, but the 302s are very, very, very easy to wake up. They can scream if you want them to. But there's that, there's a C4 pan filled, there's a set of Globe Bathursts, a set of slotters, tail shafts, a disc brake bogie, there's interior trims, there's all sorts of stuff, and he put a package deal together. A radiator and a fan shroud. That's correct for an XA, XB. All this stuff, and you can't say no. I mean, you just look on eBay and people want $2,000 for a stuffed 302. So he's doing that. So he's included delivery on this stuff too. So I've got to sort of hustle a bit and create some room because there's a lot of stuff coming. And I want it so that when the XA coming is a good thing because I've got holidays in 3 weeks, and by then it should be at Graham's shop, and I'm going to spend a few days in Adelaide. And we'll cut the roof off and stick a new one on. I've got to get a windscreen too, so that I've got that to check against it before we sort of do a big finish weld. And there's also the doors I've got at Susie's place, so I can stick those on and just gap them off the rear quarters and the B pillars, or just try and get the gaps, the shut lines all right, so we can sort of straighten the thing out a bit. But I've got all this staff, and I'm going to Adelaide for a few days to work on it. So by then, after that, the thinking is it gets blasted and epoteched in Adelaide because it's cheaper there than it is here, and then it comes here as a greyish green shell in fairly good nick. And I'll tell you what, by the time you get it here in that condition, it's over 10 grand. A lot of money. A lot of money. But 10 grand gets you a rusty stuffed XA. So I think it's extra cool because it's got bullet holes in the back of it. As long as no one puts fresh bullet holes when I'm driving it, that'll be good. I think it's going to be good. I think it's really good. That and the EJ are kind of outback, messed up cars. And to see them, I know the colour of the EJ is Cottesloe cream. That's what it's going to be. It's that pale yellow with a, not Fowler's ivory, Atherton ivory I think it is, on the roof. And I'll do the brown and gold interior. And the XA is summer gold. It's a rare colour. It's an orangey gold, orangey tanny gold colour. And you never see it. And I think, I'll do that. So I was looking for a solid colour to do because I like doing solids. They're easy and they're easy to touch up and they're cheaper. But I've got 2 white ones and I've got 2 red cars in here and there's multiple blue cars and green cars. Summer gold. I think we'll keep it true to its thing. So when this motor rocks up, I'll do it quick. It hasn't run for ages. I might whip the sump off, stick some bearing shells in it, set of rings, gaskets, give it a paint job, stick it in with its C4 and drive it around as a 302 column to get the thing on the road quicker because this waiting around for it, look at the XC, 5 or 6 years I've had that. And then I can take my time, build up a 351 top loader and all this sort of stuff for it. But of course then I'll need 3 9-inch stiffs for all the Fords I've got with those engines, so I don't think that's going to happen. It's too much money. 10 grand just for 3 diffs. Everything's 10 grand. Don's Tricks was right. I was watching him yesterday. He's got a Windsor and a Cleveland he built up. And he's going, 4 grand for this, 4 grand for that. He pulls out 2 fuel pumps. These were 4 grand. What a character. I'd like to meet him. I haven't met him yet. But anyway, look, thanks again for all your patience. I know I've been a pain in the ass to wait for. But it's the way things have gone. So the next video, I don't know when it'll be. I'll have bits and pieces which I'll post. Right, so that's it. And what I neglected to say before was I put that new computer together, right? And I still haven't worked out. The video edit I was using before was, I think, Movie Maker 2012. It's like 10 years old. And I thought, well, I can't use that. And I don't think it even came with Windows 10. Windows 10 had this newer Movie Maker and it's completely different. I don't know how to use it. And the file I used for the titles doesn't work. And the titles were crap anyway. I had to redo them, but I just hadn't got around to doing it. So this video doesn't even have titles. But I guess the thing that was in the titles that people would comment on was a little excerpt, if you will, of some other projects I'm doing at the same time. So this one is on the smoking table. It's an Art Deco piece I've got that I've got to fix up for inside. So there's a bit of footage on that, then the video will just stop. There's no nothing. It's just, it'll stop. So until I work out titles, I'll say thanks very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. The smoking table. Well, it's not really a smoking table. I think it's more a side table to go between 2 chairs. You can imagine 2 blokes BSing on these chairs while one of their wives cooked dinner. And they suck down classic darts, but fortunately times have changed. Anyway, this hasn't got the inbuilt ashtray, so it's more, like I said, a side table. But it's in pretty good nick, but it's all sort of tarnished and there's a few splits down there and so forth. So I've got to pull it all apart just to see how it all works, or how it's all fitted, and I'll take it from there. The things I'm worried about is this bakelite getting damaged. It's got a nice plug, but it's got that rubber insulation, so we're going to pop that off. I'd be inclined to reuse this. And you can get sort of classic electrical cord. So it will, it will, you know, fit it, so to speak. It will look a bit better. So I'm just going to pull this out. And I'll keep it for the reference of length, I suppose, but we wouldn't use rubber insulated cable, not today. That rubber can actually liquefy almost. Ask me how I know. Right. Now we've got a broken part down here, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. Alright, let's just pull that out. We've got a bunch of fittings. We've got, hold on a minute, a collar brass fitting. I don't know what that's for. That could have been original, it might not. No idea. And then in here we've got some conduit, which is broken. I'm just going to pull that out. And that will give it stability. Okay, so we've got a break here. So this sort of stuff's fairly easy to make on a lathe. Yeah, so we've got a busted part. What's up here? We've got another collar. This is going to be tricky, isn't it? Okay. We'll check all that out with a multimeter. It's got a sort of proprietary fitting there. How do we get into that? All right. We'll figure it out. It's all good. I believe that guy goes on there. There's a recess or a rebate. Yeah, so it's just a decorative collar that sits there. And that'll all clean up beautifully. Good. And we can just feed that in. That should screw into that nut. Yep, good, that all works. And that nut just fits up against it to snug it up. That's cool. Excellent. We're getting somewhere. We're understanding it a bit better. And that fits into that. Look how it all fits together. It's beautiful. That'll all clean up, that chrome. I always like to use the Quad Zero steel wool, which is very fine. And that's this one here. And generally, it does a brilliant job. And this is no exception. There's a lot of muck on there. That will come up absolutely beautifully. So I'm very happy with that. And we've just got that threaded bit, and it's broken there. That's dead easy to make, and that's what goes into the base. So I'm very, very happy with that. So I can just pop that back on here, and there's a centering sort of bush, I think goes against inside the mirror, and that fits over. So that's all cool. That's actually in great condition. Let's end up unscrewing this from the flange. Whoa. That all looks original. But under here, we've got a date. 26th of September 1980. That looks like a piece of masonite. I wonder if someone repaired it. But it doesn't really look like... It's not the original timber. Well, it's got the original timber in there. So I don't know. But it's been fiddled around with. Right. I've got a mattress protector there. So I was having some trouble getting this off. And the other thing I've noticed is that's gal. So I think it's had some work done to it. Sometime in the past, what does this come up like? Like new. Beautiful. Okay. And it's just these sorts of details, they're beautiful. I wonder if this was actually manufactured in 1980. I don't think it would have been. But this is what I'm worried about, breaking this sort of stuff. That does feel like Bakelite. That's not so great, but it's still not too bad. And that's what I was worried about too. It's in beautiful condition. Right, now I can probably get to that nut. That's what I was having trouble with. So, that looks original. But this is all sort of stoved in. Oops, see, sorry. Okay, I'm going to take that off. Actually, maybe I can just do that. Right, so what we've got is this, and I can't see a date or anything there, but this is die cast, and die cast is crap. So we can't just have one brace sort of along it like it had. With that, that's just not going to work. It's not going to give it any support. You know, it'll give it support one way but not the other. So I think I have to weld. It's going to be easiest to weld a piece of flat bar like that into a cross. Weld it underneath it and bolt it in, or screw it in, secure it into here. I think that's going to work well. But this has got stress fractures all around it, which I don't like that much, but we'll also put a bit of carpet or felt or material or something on there. This, on the other hand, this part is okay. The threads are cool. And so is that, but it's that. That's the problem. So we can make something like that on a lathe and thread it and just weld it inside a crisscross arrangement. I think that's what we're going to need to do.